Okay, let's dive right into this explainer. If you've ever felt like your attention span is just totally broken, you're definitely not alone. Today, we're going to look at the actual biological reasons why we struggle so much to maintain focus on difficult tasks, and we'll break down exactly what's happening inside your prefrontal cortex. We're pulling directly from recent neuroscience to figure out how you can literally rewire your attention span.
I want to start by validating something really frustrating. Why is it that failing to focus for even a short 20-minute window happens to the best of us? We've all been there, right? Staring at a blank screen, feeling physically unable to just do the work. Well, what's fascinating is that this isn't a lack of discipline, not really. It's actually a biological choice your brain is actively making. Your brain is hardwired for efficiency and survival, which usually means it's constantly hunting for the absolute easiest, most rewarding path in the immediate moment.
It's basically a silent battle in your head. On one side, you have an hour of scrolling on your phone, something you can do without a second thought. On the other side, 20 minutes of deep work. Your brain's limbic system is constantly weighing what feels amazing right now against what your prefrontal cortex knows will benefit you later. Scrolling is just instant, effortless dopamine. Deep work, though, that requires heavy cognitive load and delays the reward, so naturally, your brain fights back.
To fix this, we're going to walk through a really effective brain training guide. We'll hit the brain's focus dilemma, how to shrink the psychological barrier, rewarding your effort immediately, some routine and environment hacks, and finally, shifting your true identity.
So, starting with part 1, the brain's focus dilemma, and how it chooses between now and later. The most crucial thing to realize here is that you don't need to feel guilty about wanting to be distracted. That's literally your default biological setting. The goal isn't to punish yourself for craving the now. The goal is to train your brain to actually start enjoying disciplined behavior. You can absolutely teach your brain that the later benefit is worth the current effort, but to do that, you've got to sneak past its initial alarm bells. Which brings us to step 2, shrinking the psychological barrier by making the first step ridiculously small.
Instead of sitting down and dreading 3 grueling hours of studying, which instantly triggers massive mental pushback, you need to trick your brain. Pick a ridiculously small win. Read just 1 single page, do 5 push-ups, or tell yourself you'll open a document for just 10 minutes. Doing this completely lowers the psychological barrier. Your brain thinks, oh, 10 minutes? Yeah, we can survive that. And once you start, the friction just vanishes, and keeping going becomes so much easier because you've already overcome the inertia of starting.
Let's move on to part 3, rewarding your effort immediately to hijack the brain's feedback loop. Discipline gets incredibly easy when your brain starts associating effort with something highly rewarding. If you track your progress, physically check off completed tasks, or take a quick break after a 10-minute sprint, you are giving yourself instant gratification. You don't have to wait months to feel successful. You are instantly linking the effort of focusing with a tangible, feel-good reward right this second. Getting a grip on this feedback loop concept is an absolute game changer. Creating this loop is exactly how you fundamentally shift your brain's expectation from dreading the work to actually craving the feeling of getting it done. Over time, your brain learns that doing the hard thing actually feels good. It stops hunting for cheap dopamine from scrolling and starts chasing the dopamine rush of completing a task.
Next up, part 4, routine and environment hacks, or outsmarting your willpower.
Look, there is a night and day difference between motivation and routine. You absolutely cannot rely on motivation alone. Motivation is just a feeling, right? It changes constantly based on how you slept, what you ate, or just random, unpredictable emotions. It burns incredibly high mental energy. Routine, on the other hand, is decided in advance. It relies on solid planning. When you build a routine, you spend way less mental energy debating whether or not to do the work because the decision was already made yesterday. And a huge chunk of that reliable planning involves your physical space. Because, honestly, your environment quietly controls your behavior. If your phone is sitting right next to you while you're trying to read, notifications are pinging, and endless entertainment is literally 1 click away, resisting that is ridiculously hard and totally drains your willpower because you're forcing your brain to constantly make an active choice to ignore a highly rewarding distraction.
So let's just take willpower out of the equation entirely. If you put your phone in another room, block distracting websites, and keep only what you need right within reach, you completely flip the script. You're making the good behavior exceptionally easy and the distraction physically harder to get to, meaning you actually need far less discipline overall because your environment is doing the heavy lifting for you. And finally, part 5, shifting your true identity, which is the final evolution of discipline.
There's a massive shift in mindset here. When you tell yourself, I need to become disciplined, it automatically implies that you aren't right now, which frames the work as this forced external chore. But if you say, I am someone who keeps promises to myself, well, that's an undeniably powerful identity shift. You're internalizing the behavior.
When you adopt this mindset, your job is just to prove that identity through really small actions every single day. You don't have to be perfectly laser-focused for 8 hours to claim this identity. You just need to tell yourself you'll work for 10 minutes and then actually do it. That's it. That is keeping a promise to yourself.
Because discipline genuinely becomes easier when the behavior feels like who you are, rather than something you're just forcing yourself to do. You don't need a magic pill, and you definitely don't need more fleeting motivation. You just need enough repeated evidence from your tiny habits that your brain starts to actually believe this new version of you. When discipline aligns with your identity, it stops being a daily struggle. It just becomes your new normal. So, I want to leave you with a challenge for today. What ridiculously small action are you going to take today to prove your new identity? Stop waiting for that perfect surge of motivation to tackle your massive to-do list. Instead, what is one ridiculously small, 10-minute step you can take right now to show your brain exactly who you're becoming? Make it so small you literally can't fail, grab that immediate reward, and start proving your new identity. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you in the next one.